Hi YouTube, it's Janelle here, also known as MissBeHelpful. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the top few savings accounts for 2020 where you can get the best interest rate back for your savings. I don't want people to be changing their savings account all the time just because their savings account interest rate dropped by 0.01 or 0.1%. It's not that big of a deal if you're dropping by small increments. But if you start to notice that after a while, your savings account has a really low interest rate compared to a lot of the other competitors out there, then it might be time to upgrade your savings account. Or if you've never started to save up for an emergency fund, like a couple hundred or a couple $1,000s in an account that you just don't touch and you just leave it for an emergency, then this is a good time to kind of think about starting that emergency fund using one of the best high yield savings accounts out there that gives you the most money back or the best return on your investment. For me, I was like, all right, let me go to Business Insider and see what their recent stuff has been. And the article that they posted in January called, "Here are the best high yield savings accounts right now." I was actually shocked to see because their number one choice is Wealthfront, and I really disagreed with that. I was kind of like, what? How are you going to pick Wealthfront as number one? I really like Wealthfront. I use them for investing, and I have a general investment, general taxable investment account with them. And I really love their app. Like, I think their app is amazing. Everything that they have is so easy to use. And the fact that they have a savings account is really nice because you could just like move the money into your investment account if you reach your savings goal and you want to start investing. So that idea is really nice. But let's be real. When you're trying to go for a high yield savings account, you trying to get a high yield. You're trying to get a high interest rate back. And right now, Wealthfront's savings rate is only like 1.78%. Like, that's not as high, especially when there's others out there that are 1.85, 1.92, 2%, like Bureau Direct. So for me, it's kind of like, all right, it's not that impressive that they have that interest rate right now when I know they can do better. But a perk that they do have, which I guess is maybe one of the reasons why they were picked as number one, is that you're FDIC insured up to $1 million. And a lot of bank accounts out there that's not the case, and technically this is like a money account where you just like put money to save it. It's not technically called like a traditional savings account, and it's not a traditional savings account because it's online. But I still think that it's very rare that you would get more than $250,000 insured through FDIC at any bank. So the fact that they offer more, I guess that is a perk for people who are balling out of control, but I still don't find it to be that impressive because for me, at least, when I go do speaking gigs or when I blog and do things like that, sometimes I get checks in the mail that come to me and I gotta deposit the check into my account. A lot of times I just want to save that extra income that I get. And so I try to just like take a picture of it and, put it into through the mobile app into my savings account. But Wealthfront doesn't even allow you to do that right now, which is kind of like, for me, that puts them down to like number 4 on the list. Like, you cannot be the number 1 savings account on the list if you can't take a picture of a check and deposit it into the bank account. Come on, it's 2020. Their number 2 choice is Bureau Direct. Their number 3 is Ally Bank. Number 4 is CIT Bank. And then number 5 was Synchrony Savings. So for me, I really didn't disagree that much with Synchrony. I didn't think it was that bad of a choice. Synchrony is definitely up there in terms of their savings rate and a lot of their perks. They have good ATM benefits and things that make their savings account really good and flexible for a lot of people. But I kind of disagreed with the fact that they put CIT Bank up there because CIT Bank has a really high minimum balance required. I think it's about $25,000 if you want to get their highest interest rate, which is 1.75% right now. But they do have the option to put in an extra $100 every single month, and that way you also get the 1.75%. So I guess if you are looking for the type of bank account that will allow you to build up an emergency fund, you're going to be adding at least $100 every month, then this is probably a good option for you. But for somebody like me who just wants to put their emergency fund that's already established somewhere and let it sit there and grow, this is probably not going to be the best place for somebody like me. The number 2 choice was Bureau Direct. I recently learned about Bureau Direct myself because I didn't really know about this bank account or the savings account at least. But the really good thing about it that I like a lot is that they have online and mobile banking available, which for me is like a must. For me, like if it's 2020 and the bank account that you're using doesn't allow you to access it online or using your mobile phone or like on an app on your phone, then like, come on, you need to keep with the changing times. You need to upgrade your savings account because there's too many banks out here that offer really good interest rates that also give you access to your savings account from your phone or from the internet, from your computer. And the interest rate there is really high. It's like 2% with only a $25 minimum deposit, which is really low. Like, I mean, most banks, you have to have $200, $300, especially these major banks. Like I used to bank with Bank of America, and if I didn't have $300 in there, then I would get charged a fee. And so eventually I moved everything over to Ally. But I mean, I really like it when the minimum to start is very low, or if they don't have any minimums to start, then that's even better. And if it were up to me, the number one bank account for savings and getting a high yield on your savings right now in 2020 is actually one called Varo. Varo Savings gives you up to 2.8% depending on a few different things that you have to do. But if you don't meet any of that, you at least get 1.92%. 1.92% is really, really high. And the fact that you have a chance to get up to 2.8 is amazing because that's higher than most savings accounts interest rates have been in the past 3 years. So that is really, really awesome. Okay, so I know you're probably wondering, all right, well, what do you got to do to have the 2.8%? You don't have to have $5,000 in there. You don't got to have a lot of money in there. Actually, it's quite the opposite. With Varo, which is one of the reasons why I really like this account, you cannot have more than $50,000. If you have more than $50,000 in the savings account, then you get bumped down to a lower interest rate. So they're looking out for people who are not rich, which is kind of interesting because a lot of banks, when you have more money in the savings account, you move up to a higher interest rate. So they give you more interest when you put more money. But with this particular bank, they're very different. They give perks to people who have a little bit lower amount of money in the savings account, not to people that are balling out of control. So this is actually very interesting because kind of like a bank for the common people, for regular people, which I really like. You know, they don't have any monthly fees. They don't have no overdraft fees. You know, we over that. No overdraft fees in 2020. I mean, come on. If your checking account or your savings account is charging you overdraft fees, you gotta get rid of that thing. You just gotta, come on. Like, there are too many bank accounts that do not offer any type of penalty or don't, give you a penalty for overdrafting your account at this point. And so they're just really, I mean, banks are making billions of dollars every year from overdraft fees. And so at this point, you just gotta get to a bank that doesn't have it, especially if you're banking online. Most high yield online savings accounts and online checking accounts do not charge overdraft fees anymore. I mean, if you think about bank accounts like Chime Bank that are, getting rid of the overdrafting, like really getting young people to realize like this is ridiculous. You don't have a lot of money to begin with. You should not be getting hit with overdraft fees left and right. It's just ridiculous. So the fact that they don't have any overdraft fees, they don't have any monthly fees. And one of the things that I really love about the Varo account, not only do you have a chance to go up to 2.8%, and I'll get to the 3 things that you have to do in a second. But the reason why I really like them is because they actually have 24/7 or 7 days a week people, humans that you can talk to on the phone. And to me, like, I know a lot of young people, especially my generation, millennials, and even the generation after me, Gen Z kids, like, I know most people don't care about that. And like, you actually prefer not to talk to a human. But I'm telling you, there are times where I have wanted to talk to somebody so bad and I keep getting put on a machine recording or keep telling me to email or chat with a bot or, send a message to the online chat. And sometimes you really do just want to talk to somebody. And so it is nice to know that if you need to, you can talk to somebody. You don't have to, but you can if you want to. So the fact that they have 7 days a week people available to talk to you if you need any help with your account or if you need access to your money or whatever questions you might have, that is amazing because it's kind of like going away. That feature is, as technology kind of takes over, more and more banks are starting to do just chat-based and email-based. So it's refreshing. It's nice to see a bank that is new and of the changing times, but still has a little bit of that human touch. But what are the 3 things that you have to do to get 2.8%? Because I know you desperately want to know because that's a really high interest rate. So the first thing that you have to do is you have to link up your direct deposit into a checking account with them. So you do need to have a checking account with Varo if you want to get the 2.8% on the savings account, which is not such a bad thing because they don't have minimums on these accounts anyway. So it's not like you have to move a whole bunch of money into these accounts. But the second thing you have to do on top of direct deposit, and the direct deposit has to be $1,000 a month. So if your paycheck is less than $500 every 2 weeks, you're not going to be able to qualify for this. So you want to make sure that, you do the math and figure out, is it worth it for you to try to open this account and try to get to 2.8%? You have to have at least $1,000 getting direct deposited into the account every single month. And then the second qualification that you have to meet is that you have to use the debit card to make purchases 5 times each month. So that's like once a week and then maybe one extra time on top of that. And this one is kind of interesting to me because I know a lot of people prefer to use their credit card. Like honestly, me, I never use my debit card to make purchases ever anywhere. I just use my credit card all the time and then automatically pay. It's auto pay through my checking account. But I think the reason is that they're trying to get more people to use the checking account and to use their debit card. So you have to use it 5 times a month in order to get the 2.8%. And the last thing is that you cannot have $50,000 or more. You have to basically always maintain less than $50,000 in your account in order to hit that 2.8%. That's it. Those are the 3 things that you have to do. So notice there's no maximums. There's actually a minimum, which is really different right now. And you just have to make sure that you set up that direct deposit and all those things. So if that sounds like something that you can do or might be interested in doing and you want to shoot for that 2.8%, then, you might want to check out Verde Savings account. I think it's VarroMoney.com is the website. I'm tempted. I'm not going to lie. Like I've really been tempted to change my savings account from Ally to Varo. And if I do it, if I go through with it in 2020, I will post a video about it here. But, Ally's savings rate dropped a lot. Over the past year and a half, they used to be one of the highest, above 2%. And now they're almost at 1.5. They're 1.6% right now. So it's kind of hurting me every time that I think that I'm putting my emergency fund to just sit in this account. And I could be getting 2.8% right now. And instead I'm getting 1.6, which is more than 1% less. That's more than $1 less for every 100 that I have sitting in my savings account right now. So if I got a couple $1,000s in there, which I do, it's kind of like, those dollars, they be adding up. So anyway, I'm considering changing to Varo because I really love what they're offering. I will put the link to the Business Insider article that I'm talking about in the description box below. I'll also put a couple of other blog posts that I found helpful about the best savings accounts and why they're in the top 5 or top 6 for best savings accounts for 2020 so far. I mean, it's only February, but I will post some of those. And then I'll also post a link to the Varo website so that if you want to check out what their qualifications are for their savings accounts and checking account, you can check that out as well. So that's all I have in this video. I know I can talk, but it is really important that you make sure you're maximizing your savings. If you're saving at Bank of America, Chase Bank, you out here slacking because the big banks, the major banks are known for giving you the least possible money back for your savings. So you have got to get rid of those savings accounts at major banks. And it's fine if you're checking with them because I know that, ATMs are everywhere. But at the end of the day, the savings accounts really should be out here getting way more money back. So you want to be looking at high yield savings accounts. So I hope that this video was helpful. If it was, let me know in the comment section below. Let me know what you're considering. If you liked any of these bank accounts, if any of them sound juicy enough to convince you to move your account or to open a new account with them. And as always, you guys can contact me at MissBeHelpful@gmail.com. You can also find me on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, and you can also call me on Google Voice. I have a number that you can call, leave a voicemail recording message there, and then I will listen to it and answer you back right here on my channel. So you might even hear your own voice right here in a future video. But that's all I have for you guys. So till next time, peace.